and the women's 100 meters heat by the nail away. She can be reached in ease as they cross the line. 10 months to that's the fastest time we've seen so far this tournament. At just 19 years old, she trained with Sha'Carri Richardson and then turned around and beat her idols on the world stage. This isn't just another sprint story. This is how Tia Clayton went from the shadows to shocking the entire track world. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Tia Clayton's incredible journey, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who loves track and field. Let's get into it.
10.92. That's what a 20-year-old girl from Jamaica just ran in the 100 meters. Not at some small regional meet, not in practice, not with a favorable wind or a slow electronic clock. At the Doha Diamond League, one of the 5 most competitive outdoor track meets on the entire planet. The kind of stage where world records exist, where only the absolute elite show up, where there are no excuses, no asterisks, no what-ifs. But here's the thing that actually matters. She didn't just win. She beat Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. If you follow track at all, you know that name. If you don't, listen carefully. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. She won in Beijing in 2008 when Tia was 3 years old. She won in London in 2012 when Tia was learning to run. She won in Rio in 2016 when Tia was running high school track. Fraser-Pryce is the living definition of what it means to be the fastest woman your country has ever produced. She is the standard, the legend, the person that every Jamaican sprinter measures herself against. And a 20-year-old beat her, head to head. Same lane, same moment, same track. We will get to that. I promise we will get to that. But first, you need to understand just how impossible this story actually is. Because 10.92 doesn't just mean fast. Let me be specific about what it actually means. Last summer, summer 2024, the Paris Olympics happened. Women's 100 meters final, the biggest stage for sprinters in the world outside of Worlds. Julian Alfred from St. Lucia won it in 10.72. That's the benchmark. That's the top. Sha'Carri Richardson from the United States ran 10.87 and got silver. Melissa Jefferson ran 10.92 and got 3rd place. Think about that. Think about it carefully. 10.92 earned a bronze medal at the Olympics. If Tia Clayton had been in that Paris final, if she had stepped on that track with those 7 other sprinters, she finishes 3rd. She stands on the podium. She gets the bronze. She is an Olympic medalist at 20 years old. That is what 10.92 actually means. Not good, not impressive. It means she runs with the absolute best humans on the planet.
And Tia Clayton did all of that after spending her entire childhood in the shadow of someone else, after an injury stopped her at 16, after a false start eliminated her from a championship, after watching her twin sister win while she sat in the stands, after one moment that made her question whether she was ever going to be fast enough. That's the story we're telling you today. Grange Hill, Westmoreland. Not a place you associate with Olympic sprinters. Not a place you see in highlight reels. Westmoreland is a parish in Jamaica's southwestern corner. Rural, agricultural, small towns and smaller communities. The kind of place where track and field isn't the primary sport. Football, soccer, dominates. Cricket dominates. But track is quiet there. Except in one family. Tia Clayton, their mother, was a sprinter herself. She ran at the national level. She competed in her school days, in her youth days, and she never gave up the sport entirely. She understood speed. She understood what it took. And when she had daughters, when she had twins born exactly 5 minutes apart on August 17th, 2004, she saw something in them, a possibility, a potential. Tia and Tina, they grew up running, not forced to run, just running, the way kids in some families grew up playing basketball or swimming. For the Clayton twins, running was part of their DNA from childhood. They would race each other, they would time each other, they would push each other. And very quickly, by age 8, 9, 10, it became clear that both of these girls were going to be special. But something else became clear just as fast. Tina was faster. Not by much, not in a way that was obvious to everyone, but in the small margins, the hundredths of a second that matter in sprinting, Tina was consistently, reliably, slightly ahead. And once you're identified as the faster one in Jamaica's track system, that identity sticks to you like a name. It follows you everywhere. By age 14-15, they were national stars. Edwin Allen High School in Clarendon Parish, the factory that produces Jamaican sprinters. Both girls went there. Both girls trained under Michael Dyke, one of Jamaica's most respected coaching minds. Both girls won medals at the ISA Boys and Girls Championships, known locally as champs. Tina won. Tia won. But Tina was the girl who was winning. The narrative was forming. The system was deciding who was who. And then came 2021, World Under-20 Championships in Nairobi, Kenya. This was supposed to be Tia's moment. This was supposed to be where she arrived, where the world saw both Clayton twins as equals, as parallel talents, as two athletes who happened to share a womb but had completely separate ceilings. Instead, an injury hit early in the season. Not a scrape, not something that would heal in a week, something serious enough that it derailed her entire preparation. An injury that meant she could not compete for a spot on the World U20 team. An injury that meant she was home when her sister was in Kenya. When Tina showed up in Nairobi, she won. Gold medal in the 100 meters, 11.09 seconds as a teenager. Not just gold, championship record in her age group, world champion, the fastest girl in her age category on the entire planet. That's what the media said. That's what the scouts wrote down. That's what Jamaica told itself. Tia Clayton is the future. But Tina did something else in Nairobi. She anchored the Jamaican 4x100 meter relay. That relay team, Serena Cole, Tia Clayton, Karika Hill, and Tia Clayton anchoring, ran 42.59 seconds, world record for under 20 athletes, a number that will stand for years, maybe a decade. Tia was part of that. She ran that anchor leg. She was the final piece of a world record. But it was Tina's gold medal that defined everything. When you're 16 and your twin sister wins a world championship and you are home recovering from an injury, a message gets sent, not with words, with silence, with the absence of your name in the coverage, with the difference between world champion Tia Clayton and Tina's sister, also recovering. The system had spoken. Tina was the one. Tia was the other one. 2022 came. Another World U20 Championship, this time in Cali, Colombia. Tia was healthy now. She was ready. She made the team. She was there. But again, Tina was the headline. Tina won gold in the 100 meters with a championship record, 10.95 seconds as an under 20. Insane. And the relay? That relay again won gold with another world record, 42.59. Actually, they did it again. They broke the record they had just set the year before. 2 years in a row. World record. World record. But it was Tina. It was always Tina's headline. And then 2022 at ISA Champs, the biggest high school track meet in all of Jamaica, the stage where local heroes are made. Tia had been waiting for this. This was her home stage. This was where she could be the one, just this once. She made the 100-meter final. Her sister made it too, head-to-head. No excuses, no injuries, no other stories. Just two girls running the same race. And Tia false started. She was eliminated before the race even began, disqualified, watching from the side while her sister won gold. Do you understand what that does to you? Do you understand what that moment teaches you about yourself? You prepare your entire life for one race. You make the final. You line up in the busks, and you flinch. You move, and you're gone. Her sister won gold. Tia did not finish what she came to do. The message from the track was clear. You are the other one. You are always one step behind. You are the slower twin. That is your identity. That is your story.
But Tia did something that most athletes never do. She did not accept that message. In fact, she did the opposite. She made a decision that very few 17, 18-year-old girls make. She looked at her life, at her home in Grange Hill, at her training with her sister, at everything that was safe and known and familiar, and she decided to leave it. She moved to Kingston, the capital, hours away from her family, away from her twin sister, away from the routine and the rhythms of growing up together. She joined MVP Track Club, maximizing velocity and power, the elite training facility where Jamaica's best sprinters go when they're ready to compete at the absolute highest level, the club that trained some of Jamaica's greatest sprinters. the place where you don't train because you want to. You train there because you're serious. Think about what that actually cost. Think about growing up with your identical twin, sharing classes with her, sharing meals with her, sharing the same bathroom, sharing everything. And then one day you tell her, I'm leaving. I'm going to Kingston. I'm going to a different coach. I'm going to find out if I can be as fast as you on my own. And you wake up, and she's not there. That is the sacrifice. That detail right there is the whole story. Because Tia did this without guarantee. She did not know if moving to Kingston would make her faster. She did not know if MVP would unlock something. She did not know if leaving her sister would liberate her or break her. She only knew that she could not accept being the slower one. She could not accept a narrative written by an injury and a false start. So she left. MVP Track Club is different from high school track. The athletes are different. They're competing for scholarships, for sponsorships, for international travel. The coaches, they're not there to inspire. They're there to extract every tenth of a second. The training is harder. The expectations are different. The environment is one where you either move forward or you accept your ceiling. Tia moved forward. Let me jump ahead now. Skip the grind. Skip the years of training. Skip the incremental improvements. Skip the small victories and the small defeats. Jamaican Athletics Championships, the absolute final qualifier for the Paris Olympics. This is where athletes prove they belong at the games. This is the last test before the biggest stage. Tia ran 10.90 seconds. Second place, behind Sharika Jackson, who clocked 10.84. Good enough to make the Olympic team. Good enough to go to Paris. But second, still second, even in her own country. There was another Jamaican who was faster on that day. 10.90. That was the number. That was what people would remember. Drop it in the comments right now. Have you ever done everything right, trained hard, moved away from your family, put in the work, and still felt like you came up short? Like the system was still telling you, you're close, but not quite. I need to know. Because then came the Olympics. Paris 2024, the biggest stage of her life up to that moment, the moment she had trained for since she was a kid in Grange Hill. She made the final. 7 runners in the women's 100 meters Olympic final. 1 of 7. That alone is historic. That alone proves something. But she ran 11.00 and finished 7th. Not far off, not embarrassed, but 7th. She watched other sprinters celebrate on the podium. She watched the medals being placed. She did not stand on that platform. So everyone remembered, Tia's best is 10.90. That's the marker. That's the ceiling. That's who she is. Then came May 2025, the Doha Diamond League. 1 year after Paris. 1 year after finishing 7th. 1 year after people had started to move on to the next generation of Jamaican sprinters. And Tia ran 10.92. Not a massive jump from 10.90. Not a number that looks insane on paper. Just 0.02 seconds faster. The kind of improvement that takes a year of perfect training and perfect racing and perfect conditions. 10.92. But here is what that actually means when you compare it to the real benchmark, the actual best in the world. If Tia had been in that Paris 2024 Olympic final, in that race where Julian Alfred won in 10.72, where Sha'Carri Richardson ran 10.87, where the third place finisher, Melissa Jefferson, ran 10.92, Tia finishes in the medals. She finishes in the top 3. She stands on the podium at the Olympics. She takes the bronze. 10.92. And on the day she ran that in Doha, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was also on that track. Fraser-Pryce, the person who won 3 Olympic gold medals, the person who defined an era, the person that Tia grew up watching, the person that every Jamaican sprinter compares herself to. And Tia beat her, 10.92 to 11.05. Not against a video, not against a time from a past performance, not in a hypothetical. Head to head, same wind reading, same electronic timing, same track, same moment, one race. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, 3-time Olympic champion, ran 11.05. Tia Clayton, 20 years old, from Grange Hill, who moved to Kingston alone,
ran 10.92. Fraser Price finished fourth. Tia finished first. That is not a small fact. I want to be clear about this. That is not a statistic. That is not a random moment in a random race. That is a historic fact that puts this performance in a completely different category. Because what Tia just did, what she actually accomplished in Doha, is something almost no athlete gets to do in their entire career. She beat an Olympic legend in a head-to-head race. Not as a co-favorite, not as an expected winner. She beat her as the athlete that everyone thought was the slower twin, as the girl from the rural parish, as the one who had to move to Kingston to find out if she was fast. This is the first time Tia Clayton has beaten Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce at this level, in this way, in this moment. And it came exactly when she needed it. Exactly when the world had started to forget her name after Paris. Exactly when she could have accepted that the system was right, that she was the second fastest thing, that she would always be chasing, that Tina was the real one. But she wasn't. She is not. And everyone on that track in Doha knew it.
And then comes the part that almost nobody talks about. This is the part that matters more than the 10.92. This is the part that tells you who Tia Clayton actually is. After she crossed the finish line, after she beat Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, after the announcer called her name as the winner, she did not run to the camera to celebrate herself. She did not point to the scoreboard. She did not do the individual victory lap that sprinters do. She looked to the side of the track, and there was her twin sister, Tia Clayton, who had run 11.02 and finished second, who had also just beaten Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who was right there, one step behind, where she had always been. Except this time, they were both beating world-class athletes. And Tina jumped the barricade. She came onto the track, and the two of them embraced. No rivalry in that moment, no comparison, no I'm faster than you. Just two girls who had grown up together, who had trained together, who had made a pact with each other at 8 years old that they would push each other to the elite level, and they both did it. 1-2 finish, in Doha, at a Diamond League meet. 1-2. Tia wrapped herself in the Jamaican flag. She held her sister, and for a moment, captured on camera, seen by thousands, the story was not about being the faster twin or the slower twin. The story was not about the injury or the false start, or the 7th place finish in Paris. The story was about a girl from Grange Hill who decided to move to Kingston, who decided that the system's message was not her destiny, who decided that being in the shadow of her twin was not where her ceiling was, who came back to the track in 2025 and proved, not to anyone else, but to herself, that she was worthy, and her sister was there celebrating it. Los Angeles 2028, 2 years away. 2 years from now, the Olympics come home to the United States, to American soil, to a stadium full of American energy, and Tia Clayton will be 23 years old, 23, in the absolute prime of her career, at the age where sprinters reach their ceiling, at the age where world records are set. She just beat a 3-time Olympic champion. She just proved that the injury, the false start, the 7th place finish, none of that defined her. They were just chapters in the story, plot twists, not the ending. And now she's got 2 years to train, 2 years to improve, 2 years to prepare for a home Olympics where the crowd, the energy, the pressure, the opportunity are all different than anywhere else on Earth. Here's my question for you. Does Tia Clayton medal in Los Angeles? Does she take the podium at a home Olympics and cement herself as one of the great sprinters of her generation? Does she go from beating a legend to becoming a legend herself? Drop it in the comments below and subscribe, because next we're breaking down her twin sister Tina, the original prodigy, and whether she can reclaim the title of fastest Clayton twin before the Olympics come home, because this story, the Clayton twin story, is just getting started, and we're going to follow every second of it.